Hi everyone, welcome. It's great having you here. This is a special request for a unscented, which I haven't done in a while, but for an unscented and uncolored goat milk soap. And after a long discussion, I came up with the perfect formula for this. These are just my hard oils here. This is my coconut, my shea butter, and cocoa butter here. And here I have my liquid oils, which is my olive, my avocado oil, my castor oil, my almond oil, and a bit of babassu. And what I'm going to be doing is getting this melted down, getting this added. Then we will get the goat milk ready, which is always my favorite to do. And I think this is going to be a really lovely soap. It's been a long time since I've made an unscented soap, and I don't know why. So because this person only wanted 8 bars anyway, and I thought, well, I don't have any unscented soaps currently in my line, so I'm making a full 20-pound batch here so that I can have plenty to put in the store as well, because I know there are folks out there that don't like scent. Even though I only use essential oils, there are a lot of people that are sensitive to those as well, especially those with eczema or other kind of skin conditions. But I wanted to keep it a goat milk soap because, as I discussed with this individual and they agreed, it is actually beneficial in soap for people with those conditions. So this is just a nice, gentle soap that will cleanse very well, but will also be very conditioning and non-irritating, either with fragrance or essential oils or with color. None of those things. I am adding a little bit of colloidal oatmeal to this and a little bit of clay, and those will be the only additions made. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these melted, and then we'll move forward with getting this put together. Thanks so much. So I have my goat milk here, and I'm ready to start adding my lye and get it melted. So here we go. One nice thing about winter is I keep this room pretty cool. So it's just a little more beneficial because I do work with goat milk. Frozen, sometimes fresh, mostly frozen, but this is frozen fresh. This is from this week, 2 days ago actually. Well, no, that's not right. This is, well, it's 6 consecutive days of milk. The last day was 2 days ago. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, with cooler weather, there's less concern about scorching. When it's 75 to 80 in here, it's a little trickier. You have to be more careful. And that's usually when you'll see me doing an ice bath underneath. Oops, but that's not really necessary this time of the year, thank goodness. And because this is a large 20-pound batch, I got a big bowl here so that I could do it all in one single dish, but also I am starting to separate out. You'll see this more and more in my videos. I know I haven't done as many soaping videos recently, but I will be. I've got a few to be edited and I've got some new ones to make, but I'm starting to separate out my vegan dishes, utensils, even my immersion blender from my milk or tallow. Anything that's non-vegan, well, I'm going to be using specific tools for, and for anything that's the opposite, I will use different tools for, just as a way to prevent cross-contamination. And this is something that I've been thinking about more and more doing anyway. I think it's really important that if there are people who do want vegan, they certainly don't want it used or mixed or any of the equipment that has had animal products, and that includes even things like beeswax. Although I'm going to talk about something rather absurd right now, and I know it's going to sound absurd, but I was at Walmart recently, and I saw these plants that they have prepared for Christmas. And what they've done is they've taken these plants and they've spray painted them with blues and reds and purples and greens. And it's spray paint. It may be a food safe type. I don't really know what type of paint it is, but it's definitely a paint. And at that moment I was thinking, I said to myself, we have organizations like PETA and the ASPCA for animals, and we have organizations out there for the abuse of people, obviously. And at that moment I was like, these poor plants are abused. I wanted to take them all home, clean that paint off of them so that they could breathe properly. Plants have pores. They do breathe and they exhale. And without their breathing, this earth wouldn't last very long, or at least the people on it. The earth would go on, but we people wouldn't. We need plants doing that. And it really bothered me. No, do I think plants have rights? No, I'm not suggesting that. I just mean, I was just in that moment just bothered by that. It was almost offensive to me that they would do that to a nice little plant. And I know that's silly. Listen, I grew up when people used to buy flocked Christmas trees, but these trees have already been cut down anyway, right? And I still prefer a fresh Christmas tree. That's my preference. And I haven't even got one yet. I know, it's getting late, right? And probably the one I get, the needles will be falling off by the time I get it anyway, but that's okay. I want a Christmas tree this year. Even if I don't decorate, if I just put some lights on it and set it up, I'll be happy with it. But I do need that this year. Something's just been wanting me and calling me to do that. But anyway, where am I going with this? Those painted plants, first of all, they're just kind of tacky. If you like them, I apologize if I'm offending your taste. I certainly don't mean to do that. If you think they're pretty and you like them, go for it. I'm just stating how I feel. I just think they're just terrible. And I see them do that with flowers, the bouquets of flowers. You'll see some of them spray painted. Well, that's okay. The flowers are dead. They've been cut off the plant. Flowers are meant to die. That's why they're on a plant. They open up just to get pollinated, to make seeds, and then the flower's done. Its job is over. So cut flowers, that doesn't bother me. I don't like even seeing people where I live who just clear their land. They don't give any thought. I saw someone recently cut down a bunch of beautiful little pecan trees. They didn't know what they were. They moved here from somewhere else, and they cleared pecan trees and local water oaks and elms, and it was just kind of heartbreaking. I couldn't say a word because it's none of my business. It's their land. They can do what they want, but it bothered me. And I'm just talking too much, aren't I? I'm complaining about other people and other things, but that's who I am. I'm just telling you a bit about who I am. Don't think of myself as a grumpy person. I try to be a positive person in my life, but there are things that do bother me, but that's sort of one of those. It's not that big a deal, the plant thing in the store, I suppose. Oh, well. It's one of those silly topics. I don't know if any of you watch much television. I don't get an opportunity to. I work a lot of hours. As a matter of fact, I have to work this Sunday. I'm working Christmas and Christmas Eve. That's right. I'll be putting in full shifts on those days. It's needed. And I don't have children, and most of the other people do, so I'm usually the one they call on. For those of you that don't have children, you probably know what I'm talking about. Oftentimes, we don't get the same kind of considerations, but that's okay. I would offer it up anyway, because I want people to be able to spend that time with their kids. Anyway, I've been working so much lately, and I've been tired a lot, and working long hours and I haven't had the opportunity to talk to anybody. And so you are my sounding board. This isn't just me soaping. It's me venting out who I am to you, to those people out in the dark. All right, so our goat milk is ready. So I'm going to set this aside and get our oils put together, with our hard oils with the soft oils, and get that. And then we'll get to moving forward. So now I'm going to add in my kaolin clay and my colloidal oats. And I'm just going to whisk these in to begin, just to kind of help with the clumping a little bit. Hit this now with the stick blender to better incorporate the clay and the oats into the oils before we add the goat milk. And if I plug in my stick blender, it tends to work better, and I don't know why that is. It's probably a manufacturing mistake. Most stick blenders, I'm sure, work great, whether they're plugged in or not. Mine doesn't. Right. So here goes the goat milk. This is a very high fat milk, and so you can see the coagulation going on there? That's actually the lye beginning to turn the fats in the goat milk to soap very slowly. And I'm working on a series of videos about how soap is created, how it started, sort of the early days of soaping, some of the problems with soaping, some of the mystery of soaping, and how to solve some of those mysteries of soaping. Just sort of help those who are just starting out. Maybe even a few tips for those that have soaped for a while. I don't know. But it's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. Alright, so I'm going to hit this with the stick blender, so it's going to get noisy here, so I'll probably bleep this out as I usually do, or edit it out, I should say. so odd not adding fragrance. It really is. It feels odd not getting my essential oils, pouring them in. But that's why I will reduce the price of this, because a lot of the cost that goes into soap, of course, are the oils and, well, the work, right? We put work into our soap, absolutely. I'm a little out of breath right now. But essential oils are expensive, and I use a lot of essential oils. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I am a bit spoiled because I have got a lot of my essential oils over the years from a family member who gives them to me. They work in a distillery, so I get them very cheap, relatively speaking. They're not free, but except around the holidays, sometimes I get a surprise bottle or something. But as a rule, I do get a better deal than perhaps a lot of people do. But I still have to buy from other people. There's one that I buy from Piping Rock that I can't get from my family member. There's one that I get from Brambleberry that I think is better than those from my family member or from Piping Rock. All these different places have their own advantages and disadvantages. I don't like the rosemary, I don't like the lavender from Piping Rock, but I love the lavender from Wholesale Plus. Wholesale, is that right? Anyway, yeah, it just depends on who you buy from, where they get theirs from. I have a friend here and who makes his own lavender hydrosols and has given me some of the lavender essential oils that he's made. I really like that a lot. He uses English lavender. It really depends on the type of lavender as well. And like, what is the lady, Susan Harrington, I believe, that has the labyrinth, the lavender labyrinth? Well, you know, she probably has a real good idea of which lavenders are best. But that being said, when I'm not using anything fragrance-wise in a soap, I'm saving money. So in this particular case, I'm not going to sell these for the same price that I sell my regular soaps. There's less work. Well, there's really not less work, but there's certainly less cost involved. And I want to pass that along. There are a lot of people who may like a goat milk soap, but may have issues with fragrance oils, or essential oils even. So if I can help out a little by providing this fragrance-free one, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so we're going to start with this one here. Try to get that where you can see it. And I know I have to do this from high up. It's because of the bucket and, well, several things. But this actually isn't going to be that showy. Oop, got that one. Just in time. Okay, let's get the next one lined up here. I'm going to try to wipe up the drips. What's that? We'll slide this one over to the side here so I can pour this next one here. That one's pretty full. And that's all she wrote. That's a funny expression. My father used to say that. Didn't care for my father too much, but he did have some funny expressions. You know, matter of fact, he taught me a few things when I was a kid. This probably wouldn't be acceptable in today's world, but I'm still going to tell it. In case you haven't heard some of these, here's one. Fatty and Skinny laying in the bed. Fatty rolled over, now Skinny is dead. That was one. And then this one, which never made any sense. Rackestackastama necker, suck back a penny winkle, in come the kitchy catchy, cameo, cameo. I don't know what that meant either. But he used to teach me these things when I was little. That's back when he liked me. I was small and didn't say much. Anyway, okay, so, wow, I'm getting modeling here. I shouldn't do that. But this is a fun soap for me to make. I like doing something really simple sometimes. Oh, who am I kidding? Most of my soaps are pretty simple, at least in design, right? But I like the purity of this. It's just, there's not a whole lot to it. It is just goodness. And I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. So we'll cut it, and hopefully it's just as beautiful once it's cut. First, I need to put it to bed to gel. So I'm not putting you through the cutting of all this. I've already cut most of it because, well, that's about as interesting as it's going to be. Without any coloring in it, it's just not, not a showy bar soap. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to talk to you all about was what you're doing for this holiday. If you indeed celebrate Christmas, this is Friday the 13th, and to many people, this is a day to celebrate or to fear, depending on whether or not you're superstitious or not. There are just so many wonderful things to celebrate in life. Whether you're celebrating the holiday or not, which I am in my own little way. As I said to one person, I have to work this Sunday. I have to work the next 2 Sundays, and I have to work Christmas Eve, and I have to work Christmas Day. But I'm helping out the company, so, it's come see, come saw. But the one thing that I have done since I was a child, and of course, it's completely silly, and talk about superstitious. At midnight, I go out to my barn on Christmas Eve, or Christmas morning, as it were, and wait for the animals to speak. My mother, when I was a little boy, would wake me up at about 12, excuse me. Generally, there was hot chocolate or apple cider and a cookie waiting for me. And I'd put on my coat and we'd go out and wait for the animals to speak. Of course, she always had a good explanation when I will tell you that once, and I remember this, and generally I don't remember a lot of things from real early childhood, but this one thing I do really remember is my mother doing a fake voice. And I even realized it at the time. When I was little, I must have been 3 or 4. I guess I was 4. I don't really remember that much about the time. But I do remember my mother calling out to me in a funny voice. And she said, "Did you hear that?" That I remember things like that. And I think even at the time, I'm not 100%, but I think I knew it was her playing. And I kind of played along a little. She knew that I was faking it. Like I knew she was, right? But it was fun. And we did this I don't know, probably 85% of the Christmases that I spent, well, at least the ones that I spent when my mother and I were together, we would do that. And usually it was just a time for kind of fellowship, because my cousins sometimes would visit, and they didn't understand it. They were, quote unquote, city kids. Didn't understand going to a barn to listen to animals, that they were far too critical of that. They were very religious, but critical of this. And I kind of thought, well, that's silly. Even the Bible talks about talking animals. Anyway, we won't go into all that. But so, I don't know, it was an enjoyable time for me. And even today, that is something that I like to do. Silly? Is it silly? Oh my goodness, yes, it's silly. But is it fun? Oh my goodness, yes. And the animals, they're usually asleep. My animals anyway. But I don't know, it's kind of a tradition. Even though I'm here all by myself, it's kind of a way of celebrating to me by being with the animals, and just going out. And I did this last year, I give, the ones that wake up, I'll give them like a little bit of corn or something, just as a treat, a Christmas treat. And on Christmas Day, I give all the animals, including my dogs, both my work dogs, and even Barry gets a little gift. And generally it's a treat. But it's been something that I'm not lonely. And I bring this up for a very good point. Someone said to me recently how lonely I must be. And I wanted to make it very clear to them that I'm alone. Do I feel lonely sometimes? Well, sure, but you can feel lonely in a crowd of people, and I have many times in my life. No, I'm not lonely. I have moments of it, yes, but I'm comfortable. At my age now, I have become comfortable with who I am, and I can just be with myself without freaking out. And to me, that is quite an accomplishment. So this Christmas, the one wish that I would make for each of you is that you find a bit of self-acceptance within yourself. And I'm not saying you have to love everything about yourself. I sure don't love everything about myself. But find something about yourself that you do feel pride over. This doesn't have to be a physical attribute. I think you're beautiful whoever you are, whatever color you are, whatever your weight is, whatever acne scars you have. If you weigh 800 pounds and wear a muumuu, I love you. I don't care about those things, and those who love you don't either. But find something about yourself. Do you post positive messages on YouTube videos? That's something wonderful, because you're helping other people. You're helping artists to find their own voice and find their own audience. I know that everything I do is not perfect or even great. I do some good things, and I'm proud of the things that I do well, but I make mistakes, even, making soaps. These are very plain, but I like them. I'm happy with them. But I make mistakes, and sometimes people will say the nicest things, and it can lift me up. I woke up the other day, went to work right away, and I had a load thrown on me that went on throughout the whole day. It was like 10 or 11 hours of just nonstop, and I was exhausted and feeling used and taken for granted, even though I wasn't. That's how I felt at that time. And I just went on and read some of my YouTube comments, and they did make me feel better. Now, do I need YouTube comments to make me feel better about myself? No, but it sure doesn't hurt. And I know I've talked here. Hopefully, you're not listening to this. You already jumped ahead to the end and you're off watching something else. But if you hung around, I want to say thank you. Thank you so very much for all that you are and all that you continue to be. And let me know in the comments what you're going to do for Christmas, if you're doing anything at all. Or what you're doing that day. Because even if you don't celebrate Christmas, a lot of things are closed that day. So what are your plans? What will you be doing? All right? So take care, everyone. Big hugs to you, and I'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye.